To study smart, you really need to know how to study. And ironically, this is something that schools and universities just don't tend to teach. So in this video, I'm going to go through 7 ways in which I study smarter, not harder, to be able to study fewer hours than the next person, but still achieve the same grades or even higher. I give myself deadlines. Are you someone that completes your assignment 1 week before the deadline or the day of the deadline? It's quite common where, and I'm sure we've all been in this situation where we won't be motivated to write an assignment until the day of the deadline. And we only become motivated as a direct result of the deadline looming. And what I've noticed is that if I have 2 weeks to write an assignment, it will usually take me 2 weeks to write it. However, if I only have 24 hours to write that assignment, then I'll have it written within that 24 hours. It's essentially the Parkinson's law in action that states that work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. So I would use this to my advantage. At university, if the due date for an assignment was, for example, the 30th of September, then I'd make my own deadline for 1 week before that, so the 23rd of September. So firstly, I'd have the assignment written with 7 days to spare, but I'd also procrastinate far less and work a lot faster because I knew I had a shorter period of time to write it. And even to this day, I still have deadlines for pretty much everything that I do. It's quite an easy way to trick your brain into working with urgency, therefore increasing productivity quite significantly. I make fewer decisions. Now, you might have realized that when making these videos, I wear pretty much the same clothes. Firstly, because the background is quite dark behind me, so I like to wear lighter colored clothes so that I don't blend in with the dark background too much. But secondly, because I don't have that many clothes. So with the decisions that just aren't that important, I try to automate those decisions or even eradicate them altogether. In 2012, Barack Obama once told Vanity Fair that he tries to reduce decision making when it comes to what he wears. You'll see I wear only grey or blue suits, he said. I'm trying to pare down decisions. I don't want to make decisions about what I'm eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make. Now, some decisions are important, but most aren't. If you want to study smarter, consider eliminating the everyday decisions that really don't matter that much. I cultivate deep work. Training myself to be able to enter into a flow state whenever I study was one of the most powerful things that I did at university. So remember the last time you were so focused with a task that you were doing that you forgot to take breaks, you forgot to eat, you were just so focused and in the zone. But more importantly, it's this effortless, streamlined kind of productivity. When you're in a flow state, it feels good. It feels like you can just keep going and going forever. So now imagine being able to switch on that level of concentration and focus whenever you study, almost like flicking on a light switch. Suddenly your studying becomes an enjoyable experience, something that you actually like to do, and studying 10, 11, 12 hours a day is not a big deal anymore. So learning how to use deep work to study smarter is absolutely essential. And a book that explains the whole concept of flow state really well is Deep Work by Cal Newport. I read the book a few years ago, but I used this video sponsor short form to recap the main points of the book in preparation for making this video. So short form is an app that has a library of thousands of non-fiction books where you can learn the key points in 10 to 15 minutes. And often when I'm reading a book, months later, I'll probably have forgotten about 90% of what I learned. So short form is a really good way of refreshing that knowledge a few months down the line. And I also like to highlight the most important points too, so I can recap and go through them again. It's just a really good tool to consume knowledge in a more efficient and effective way. So Cal Newport's Deep Work suggests setting aside the mornings such as 8 AM to 11 AM for deep work before jumping into shallow work, which is exactly what I aim to do these days. But short form also compares ideas with other books. So for example, they note that Robin Sharma wrote in his book, The 5 AM Club, that the most productive part of your day is the hour right after you wake up. Short form have non-fiction books covering productivity, education, and self-improvement, and they drop new book guides every week, so I really do recommend you try them out. You can click the link in the description below where the next 100 visitors to my URL will gain free unlimited access for 5 days. I choose my modules carefully. study. I was a bit hesitant to talk about this one because it's about taking shortcuts, and taking shortcuts can be a good thing and they can be a bad thing, but I can't really talk about studying smarter, not harder, without suggesting this to you. So at university, you'll probably be able to choose which modules to pick. So each university course is made up of modules. So basically, some of your university course modules will be mandatory. However, some of them you'll be able to choose which ones to take. Now that's where you've got to be smart about which modules to pick, because some will be more difficult than others. Some will have a higher pass rate than others. So if you really want to take the easy route, the obvious path would be to choose the modules with the highest pass rate, right? Now there are some obvious caveats to this. If you have a specific career in mind that you want to go into after graduating, that career might require you to take specific modules, but also it's still probably worth choosing the modules that you find the most interesting rather than those that are easiest to pass. In my first year at university, I started studying business management, but it was quite, I don't want to say easy, but it wasn't very challenging. So after a couple of months, I switched my degree program to economics and finance, which was far more challenging. It was very maths heavy, and it was absolutely the right decision. Even though I made my life at university considerably harder, it's through these challenges that we grow. I aim higher than my goals. One of the biggest problems with goal setting that I see from the students that I coach is that they'll set a goal, and it will be a good, strong, ambitious goal, but then their actions don't align with it. So they'll have a goal, I don't know, achieve a 4.0 GPA, but then they'll study like a 3.5 GPA student. So this next strategy that I use is more of a psychological trick, but it's really powerful. I like that idea of setting a goal, but then actually working to surpass that goal. So for example, if my goal was to achieve 80% in an exam, then I'd put in the studying as if I was aiming for 90%. So I guess it's almost like having two goals. The main goal, which is to achieve 80%, but then the secondary goal, which is to study towards 90% and completely annihilate the 80% goal. And that's what I did throughout university. My goal was to achieve a 4.0 GPA, but I didn't study as if I was aiming for that 4.0 GPA. I was aiming to study as though I was trying to completely destroy that 4.0. So even if I had a bad exam, or I don't know, something came up in my personal life that distracted from me from my studying, it didn't really matter that much because there was such a big margin for error built in. In my final year, I could have gotten 0% in probably my last 5 or 6 exams because my grade was so high that even if I failed my last few exams, I'd still get a 4.0 GPA because of what I got in the exams prior to that. I start even when I'm not motivated. It doesn't matter how motivated you are. Naturally, your motivation will go up and down throughout the week. And I find that a lot of people that watch my videos to be inspired to be more productive, they're often looking in the wrong place, because sometimes just getting started is the best way to increase your productivity, whether you're motivated or not. You don't need to tackle everything at once. When you are having trouble getting motivated, it's often because you are looking at the massive scope of a task. Like, for example, writing a 5,000 word assignment, for example. That can be intimidating. It's hard to get started when faced with quite a big task like that. But in that situation, often the best way is to just start writing anything. The structure of the assignment is where I usually start, so I'd write out what each paragraph will be about. And right there, I'm breaking down that big task into smaller bite-sized chunks in the form of headings for each paragraph. Taking action is what leads to motivation, which in turn leads to more action. I manage my energy, not just time. Time management is a huge part of studying smart, but just as important and often overlooked is energy management. So studying smart is about making your studying easier, right? Making it more streamlined. So it's important to know when throughout the day you're more focused and alert, and when in the day you're normally experiencing drops in your energy levels. So normally I'm at my most energized and alert first thing in the morning. So that's when I get my most focused work done. Often I get more work done in the first 2 hours of the day than I do for the rest of the day, and that's how productive my mornings are. And I made a video on how you can utilize your mornings and how you can study with extreme focus. You can click on the pop-up banner above to watch it. This is the logic of tackling difficult tasks early in the day. By using your peak hours efficiently, you can get more done in less time before you get tired. And Jason Fried, founder and CEO of Basecamp, says that while people often say there's not enough time, remember that you'll always have less attention than time. Studying smarter rather than harder is one of the most popular topics on the channel. Whenever I upload a video covering topics on how to study smarter, they tend to get a lot of views. So if you want to learn more, you can check out one of my most watched videos, How to Study Smarter Not Harder, by clicking on the card on the screen. Alternatively, I made another video on how I study smarter not harder. And don't forget to check out Shortform, the book summary app. I really do recommend it. You can try it out for free, link in the description below.